Hi, sorry, I'm going to put this in front. Just had a disaster. I spilt all my pencil shavings all over the place and all over Chip's bed. So this is not going to be a long stream. It's just to demonstrate how I'm doing hair because it's been asked. So hi, and thanks for joining me. I mean, it's 11 o'clock here at night, so it's quite a late one. You get to watch it after, Hayley. You get to watch it. 1 minute, I've got to turn my... You get to watch it. It stays on here. So at the moment, I am on... you have to bear with me because I've just taken all my tablets. I'm on my hair, which I'm doing on this current work in progress. The daylight lamp washes it out a little bit, but I need it in order to be able to sort of get the highlight. So I'm doing my hair on my gel. And I just wanted to show you how I achieve this. And at the moment, I'm using one Prismacolor and the rest are luminance. But I do plan to, hi you guys, hi everyone coming in. I do plan to do one later in Prismacolors, and that will be just red hair. But I thought I'd do this one because I'd already picked my colours out in the luminance, which just seems silly to be able to keep changing them around. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. So I'm going to go on to the demonstration and I'll show you what I've been doing. Hey Tatty, you don't have to miss work for this time. Right, I'm just going to have a sip of tea and I'm just going to dive in. And I will tell you exactly what I'm doing as I'm doing it step by step. So for anyone that's wanting to do this, this is like a red-brown hair. And I've got one Prismacolor, which is in the chocolate, because I couldn't find the exact same shade in the luminance. So I really wanted the chocolate. And then I've got brown ochre 50%, brown ochre, burnt sienna, crimson aubergine, and black. So they're my colours, and this is the one that helps make the sort of red tint, and those combined give it like quite a red colour. So I've got like a reddish brown. Hi! Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me. I don't know what the time is where you are, but here is 11 o'clock at night, so it is late, so I'm not going to be on a long stream. This is for my new book. It hasn't got it in English, but it's called Girls with Poem, and it's by Momo Girl, M-O-M-O Girl, I don't know how, but this is her little signature squiggle. And it's obviously in Korean. I can't read Korean, but it is by M-O-M-O Girl. So Momo Girl. So that's what I'm working in today, and it's just to give a demonstration on the hair. Oh, you're gonna love it. Anyone that's got this on the way is gonna love it. So, Tatty, are you okay being the moderator still? Because it's still got your moderator symbol. Because there'll probably be someone at night. There always is on the weekends. Right, so I'm not going to continue with this bit. I still got to finish that bit off. I'm going to do it from scratch on this bit here. So I'm going to go with my lightest shade first. And I always say this to people. Thanks, Tatty, you're a star. Your lightest shade you put down as a base. So in this case, I'm using brown ochre 50% on luminance, and I am just very lightly going to base down. You do this with any pencil set that you have. The only thing I'd say is try and do a wax-based pencil for the blending. So like your Prismacolors. Polychromos are great and you can add them in, but I wouldn't say they're, you know, the best one to choose. I'd say luminance and your Prismacolors are. So if you could go for those, that would be great. And the way to pick your colours out for hair is to go from the lightest shade to the darkest shade. And you start off with your base of the lightest shade, which will be your, whatever colour you're going for, it'll be your lighter one, and you work your way up with strokes, the rest of it. So we're only basing down. And you aren't pushing hard, you're just going very, very lightly. And it's just to get some sort of colour going. Then my next shade for this particular combination is brown ochre. and I'm just going to go with small strokes completely. I mean, everyone's different. We all work differently. Some people prefer a harder pencil. Some people prefer a lighter pencil. I personally prefer a wax-based pencil, but that's just my opinion. It's not the opinion of everyone. Whatever, you know, set you've got, whatever pencil set you prefer to work with, go with that one. You know, I'm not an artist. I'm not, you know, I'm not a professional. I just do this as a hobby. So please do this with whichever set that you have. I'm just giving you my little demonstration. So how are you all? So it's you're just building little layers up, so you're doing little strokes, and it won't look like anything to start with, and you'll think, Sam, where are you going with it? But I'll show you. So you're going with a hairline. You're going to just continue building up the hairline. And then for now, I'm going to come away from that colour. I'm going to move to my next colour, which is the burnt ochre. And I'm going to go exactly the same. Just going to build up my layers in small strokes, and you'll see it will come together. What I generally do is I don't go all the way through. I come to a point where I stop just to give it a bit of a shine and a highlight, so it looks shiny. So I come to sort of the middle, and I leave a slight gap, and that will be your shine in your hair. Yeah, I do think paper's a lot to do with it as well. I mean, I haven't used polychromos actually, apart from on her face. I used some sanguine, and they work so well. Everything's worked well so far. I used Prismacolors, I've used luminance. You know what I'm like, I use everything. So you're just building up those strokes, just in small little strokes. So just keep going with the strokes, and you'll build them up. Thank you. Hey, Kathy. Nice to see you. This isn't going to be a long stream, guys. I'm just showing you exactly what I've been doing so far, because I know that it's got such a lovely response, and I was so overwhelmed by it. So I thought I'm going to come on quickly while I've got the painkillers kicked in, because I've just taken my night painkillers, and I thought, okay, I'm going to quickly just come on. Okay, so I'm still just building them up. See, and it starts to take shape. Now I'm going to go over to my burnt sienna, and I'm going to do exactly the same, and I'm going to follow the hairline and direction of the hair, and I'm going to stop towards the middle. I've got like a sort of a reference here of the middle of where I want to stop. So you stop towards that part, and you're just going to keep building on it. It does work out in the end. Just going to have a sip of tea, guys. Hayley, I do plan to. I promise you. I do plan to. I'm going to do red, blonde. This is a reddish brown. The one that I've not mastered myself and I find extremely hard is black. I think that's such a hard one to get right. But it's got undertones of other colours anyway, so it is hard. It's hard to do. But yeah, we'll get there. It's like anything, this takes practice, the same as everything else that I've tried. Okay, so can we see where we're starting to build up to look like this one? And I really like the result of this. I've watched other people's work in progress, and I've always thought, you know, they've got to be able to do this. And when I asked, they're like, yep, I do small strokes. I'm like, I thought so. It looks amazing. So yeah, because there's undertones, KP. There's, you know, some people who've got black hair have also got a slight brown undertone as well, like my dad did. He had very dark hair which looked black, but it was actually a dark brown. and he had brown bits in it, and it did look good. So it's really hard. You got to study a photo and have a look. Okay, so we're building that up now. Now I'm going to move on to my next colour, and I'm going to go to the Crimson Aubergine. This is all luminance, but you can pick out similar colours in any other pencil set. And now I'm going fairly, you have to do this with sharp pencils as well, if you can see how sharp that is, because it builds the strokes up, otherwise it doesn't get the same effect. So always make sure that your pencils are really sharpened. So now you're going to pick out, you want to go hard with your strokes now, and you're going from your root or your hairline here and dragging the stroke to the middle, and then you're going to meet them up with this part, and you're going to just bring it all up into the middle. Again, this is just how I do it. Hayley, when doing strokes, are you meant to leave any gaps of colour in between? Well, when you do the building up, it doesn't leave gaps. The only gaps that will be is here, and you'll start to, like this part, if I go in a little bit. Like with this part, there is some gaps just for shine, but you've got your base underneath. Whereas on this one, I've not got there yet. So I'm still building my layers up. If I bring that in shot, is that clear enough? There will be gaps, but where you're layering it up, it fills a lot of it in, so you won't see it. And my tip for trying this out is try it on, like here, this has got quite a lot of shading already in it. So try it on one of these rather than like a big hair, you know, space that hasn't got any shading in it. Try it on one. I did colour the background, yes, KP. I did them in Prismas. Yeah, I did. I used Prismacolors in, it's quite a nice combination if you wanted to know. I'm just trailing off here. But I used, and these are Prismacolors, and I used Pumpkin Orange, Jasmine, and Orange Mineral. They're the three that I used for the background. So, yeah, I did. I used Prismas. So, I'm still with my Crimson Aubergine, and I'm still building up those layers. Go from your hairline, and as you're dragging it down, lessen your pressure. So you're going hard to light as you go. So it's going harder here and upwards. And do them like wispy. Just imagine you're just doing small wisps. And then with your hairlines that come down, you see you've got these odd strands. You can always add to them. And we'll bring that down. I've still got to colour her ears. I haven't done those yet. Hold on, Andrew, the remote control's there. So I've just brought in the Crimson Aubergine on those parts. I'm going to go back to a lighter shade for a moment, and I'm going to pick up my brown ochre. And I'm just going to add in some more, because you can add in now to fill in some of the gap. Sorry if I'm not reading the chat for a moment. Thank you, Christy. And I'm just going to add in so that there's not too much white. But you're building on top of, you've got your points to go from what you've already done. And it's really, really good to do this on a shaded, if you've got like a grayscale book that you can practice on to start with. Sorry, I'm just reading that. Hiya, Lizzie. My last picture I did so many strokes of layers. By the time I finished it, it lost its stroke effects, except in the highlights. What did I do wrong? All your pencils were really sharp the entire time. And also vary your colours. If I zoom out a little bit, if you vary your colours and you keep swapping around, it should keep it, if that makes sense. It shouldn't, so do less. That would be my advice. Do less of them. And when you can see it starting to build up, stop and look at where you're going with it. Thanks, Desiree. Hi, Desiree. I didn't see you were here. So we're going to go just a little bit more. So we filled in some of that gap. And now I'm going to go in with my black. But your black, you don't want to go too heavy with. So you're going to start to add some black in. But you don't want to add too much because this is where you can lose your strokes. So if you start to add a bit in, you don't want to add too many. So we're going to go upwards and go with the hairline and add the black in, but be very careful with the black. So don't do a heavy pressure. You want to keep some of the, the colour. So I'm not pressing heavy, but you want to add your black in because your black in any hair would start to show through, especially in mine. Like, I'm blonde and it shows through on your roots on the black. So you're best to go from the root and drag your pencil down, but as you're dragging it down, do it very lightly. I do it on, this is just like, she shaded it. But yeah, I do the same, Melissa, on any of them. I do, I'll show you on my other one as well. But on my Serene picture, I did it as well, and that was quite open. But I'm just saying, like, with this sort of thing, where it's pre-shaded for you in the, from here to here, it gives you a bit of a guide. So if you've got any pictures like this, you've got a bit of a guide with the hair, so you can follow it. And it's best to learn that way so that you can follow the shade and follow the hairline. And then you've got that big gap of white and you're thinking, I don't want to block colour it. So you want to continue with the strokes, and it's always easier to do it with a picture like this. Lizzie, I'm colouring this book. It's my new one, and it's Girls of Poem by Momo Girl, M-O Girl. I don't know how you pronounce it. So yeah, I'm just adding my black in, and then this section will be nearly done. So I want to drag also here. But you can do this. The thing is, it always put a base down, and if you've got no shading, pre-shading down, it's always good to have a bigger base. And when you've got your bigger base, you can work off of that. But go with this like hair. So if you've got some hair here, you go downwards. If you've got hair going that way, you go that way. Whatever your picture is, you just go with the shape of the hair. So, I mean, I do it on all my pictures. So, yeah, I'm using Luminance at the moment, Melissa. But I have got one Prismacolor in chocolate and the rest are Luminance. So, I added one of them. This one was already there, and then I added the corner ones. But I've not finished her eyes yet, so this is very much a work in progress. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm still on my black, guys. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Okay, so I'm just adding in a little bit more black, but I don't want to add too much because it's starting to now show, and when it starts to show at that point, you don't want to overload it. So I've added in the black, and I'm going to just go back because I'm not entirely happy with my Crimson Aubergine, and I'm just going to add a tiny bit more just to make it a tiny bit more reddish. And you are just adding your strokes in. Right, so I think that kind of matches. Now I'm just going to get my Prismacolor chocolate, and the hairs that have come down, I want to just follow the lines. So if you're practicing this, just practice initially on a picture that's got a little bit of guidance, like in Serene, there's a bit of guidance, so it helps you out. You can do this with any pencil, by the way. Okay, so I'm going to do one more, like, here, because it's a bit longer. So I'll finish off. I haven't finished this bit off, guys. I'll do that off, you know, off camera. So again, for those that are joining a bit late, I'm going to go with my lightest shade first, which for me, I'm using brown ochre 50% in the luminance, and you want to just base down to start. So for those of you just joining and you didn't see me do it the first time round, this is, you know, second time. This is the second time. So you're going lightly, just a light pressure. You don't want to go heavy on this because you want to keep a bit of light in it. And with here, it won't show up too much because she's done this shading quite dark. But you can apply this to any single one. So with the bow, I'm not going to do this hair here very, you know, like too dark, because I want to do the colour of the bow. Okay, so that's our first base down. No, Haley, it can be left. You want about this one here? It can be left, but I just personally want to build up just a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to go with my second colour, which is the brown ochre. It's not a percent, it's just brown ochre. And I'm going to start bringing down, I don't know, is this okay in the camera, guys? Like, it's not out of shot or anything, because I've got my phone up. I'm not looking at my phone. Okay. So I need to still do a flip through. My back's not been too good over the last couple of days, so I haven't done one. But I need to do a flip through of this book and put it up on the channel, which I will do at some point. Okay, so like with this bit, you want to go with the flow of it. Okay, so we're starting to build again. Then we go with our next shade, which for me is the burnt ochre, still on the luminance. I did get my book on Etsy, yes, Desiree. Oh, it's because she's moderator, in case you get any silly people come in and start, you know, all the abuse. That's why she's got a little spanner. Okay, so going with the next one. Okay, so we're still going with the little strokes. I put a little snippet video up on Instagram and the Reading with Pugs group. I just thought it's easier to explain the process if I come on a live stream rather than, you know, you can't really get much from that video, can you? It was only a minute long. Okay, so then I'm going to go with my next colour, and that's the burnt sienna. And then I'm going to start, just have to get this in how I want it. Just need to sharpen this a bit more. That's the only thing, you have to sharpen quite frequently in order to keep them, you know, at a point, but just ever so slightly. Okay, so you're going to come, again, I'm leaving like a middle part. I'm not leaving it entirely, just like ever so slightly so you have a bit of a shine on her. I'm going to bring that down a little bit. So still going along. and then go to, no, I'm not going to my next colour, I just realised. And then we're round again with this part. Now we're going to go to our next shade, which is the Crimson Aubergine. Hi Charlotte. If I'm not looking at the screen, I'm so sorry, it's just because I'm concentrating on this for a minute, but I do pop like my head over every now and then. Okay, so we're going again, just building them up. And then because you're just layering them all up. When you do it on a picture that's just like a big open space of hair, like on the Jasmine Beckett's, you would layer up more and you would do a bigger base so that, you know, you're going from something, because otherwise underneath would just be too white. So you just bring it all up. Don't worry about if you go like here, I've gone over the flower, I can always erase that. So she's starting to come to life on the hair now. The only thing is the daylight lamp really washes out the colours. Like, she is a lot darker, if you can see, than what, you know, if I take the daylight lamp away, that's the colour of her. She's actually a bit darker than that. The daylight lamp really washes her. I don't know if you can see, but the daylight lamp really washes her out because she's got a lot deeper colours than what is showing, which is highly annoying because you want to show all the colour. But the daylight lamp is what helps show the detail in what you're doing. So, yeah, Desiree, do it on the smaller. Hi, Annie. Do it on the smaller ones. Oh, you're welcome, Hayley. You can always come back to it anyway. So, take care. Okay, so we're still going on the crimson. It's the darker shade of all the shades that I'm using, apart from the black, because that's just adding in detail. And yeah, you are going to just build it up at the bottom. If you're doing a Jasmine Beckett, for instance, try, you know, on the smaller ones. Hi, Elizabeth. You know, on the smaller ones, Desiree, try it on those. Yeah, on the smaller page. They've got like 4 on a page. They're the best ones to try it on. Okay, so I'm going to go back now to my brown ochre. And I'm just going to add in a little bit more light. So you've got a bit of a, you know, a difference. But you're still keeping like a small bit of shine. And now I'm going to get my black. And I'm just going to bring that down and fade it out. This is the part that you have to be quite light-handed with. You want to show the black, but you don't want to oversaturate it, otherwise you lose your other colours. But you do want to see them. So you can bring them down into your highlighted area. Anyone that's got Fabiana books as well, have a go in those on a smaller image, not on the huge ones. God, KP, I bet you'd never think that you hear me say that, a small person, rather than, because like, she knows that I like a big portrait. But I'm actually saying try it on a small one. And that's how I practiced. I practiced on smaller people, and then did it. Yeah, the black, it does. I like the contrast. I mean, I've got all different colours in my hair, you know, so I'm blonde, but I've got darker bits, lighter bits, highlights, lowlights. So you do get a bit of a variation. So if I zoom out, you've got something that looks the same. I've still got to do this part up here. but that's got no like white parts for me to be able to demonstrate. I don't, Elizabeth. Hi, Laura. I haven't yet, no. So that is more or less, we'll go on this streak here. So base down with brown ochre 50%. We'll just go over this part so we're even, otherwise it's going to look a bit odd. I'm going to go over these white parts because I can always add them in after. And at the beginning of this book, I'll just quickly show you, there's a reference picture that the artist has done, which is absolutely stunning. But she's done it with like a blonde hair, and she's left a bit of a highlight as well. So, you know, she's done a few colours if you look. She's done like reds, blondes, browns. She's done quite a few colours in with this. I'm just going to move the tripod. So yeah, she's done quite a few colours. And she's left quite a lot of the dark as well. So you have got a reference if you wanted to go with the reference. But I mean, I just fancy going with like a reddish brown. I've got to finish this one, so ignore that part. So we're going with this Wherever our lightest colour, which is the brown ochre 50%. We'll try and even this out either side. Then I'm going in with my, oh, where is it? I can't find it now. Brown ochre. And then we'll finish up, because you continue this with, if you haven't got this book, if you've got any other book that's got a little bit of shading in, try it with that first. If not, try on your little Jasmine Beckett's if you've got that. Yeah, more or less do one of each, one layer of each. So you can, but you're building it up with those layers. And then if you noticed, I've gone back to the brown ochre just before I lay the black on, just to put a little bit more light back in it. So you're just layering it up, but once, yeah. Because that's all you need really. But on something that hasn't got any help with the shading, then you might need a couple more. You're just building your layer up more, because you're going to go from here and you're going to bring it down. And you do that with any picture. Okay, now I'm with my burnt ochre. It will take some practice, and don't get disheartened. I threw away because I printed off, you know, pictures on a piece of cardstock, and I you know, threw them away in the end because they were horrific. But then I thought, no, I'm never going to learn it if I don't do it. So just have some practice pages. If you don't want to do it in your books and ruin any of your pictures, print off an image and try it on that. That's what I did. Okay, so I'm going back to my burnt sienna. If you want to try this, that's probably what I'd do, or on a picture that you're not too fussed of. But then if you end up doing it, you know, first time, then amazing. I didn't. It took a couple of goes for me. I don't know if my chat is frozen or if it's just gone quiet. Okay, so we're still building those layers. Yeah, that's it. Just go with those ones. That's what I did. And they are awful, my first attempts. It looked like I'd just, yeah, just done like a 5-year-old's colouring. It was awful. But that's how you learn, I suppose. Okay, so now I'm going with my crimson aubergine. And remember, go into the middle and leave a slight section. You could even, in your lightest shade, if you've got watercolours, you could base down the bottom with watercolours. So, you know, you don't have to do this entirely with pencils. You can base with a very pale watercolour. And then if I zoom in, and then I'm going to grab my my brown ochre, and I'm just going to add back in a little bit of lighter to the middle. Now I want my black. Charlotte, I generally use a waxy pencil, but that's just me. You know, you might work better with an oil-based pencil. Personally, just for me, I prefer to do this with Prismacolors or Luminance or any wax pencil. But everyone's different. If you know, polys do work. I just prefer a wax one. Just, you know, that's just me. Okay, so she's starting to look the same all over her hair now. So, like with this part, this is very dark. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but like this part is extremely dark in these like areas here. So you wouldn't need to base those parts. So you go with your darker out of the shades that you've picked. So in my case, it's the crimson, and you would just bring that down and up. So you don't need to add any base coat on those parts. So any darker parts on pre-shaded pictures, you just go in with your darker shade. And then you could add a tiny bit of black, but you don't need a lot. And then I'm going to go back with my crimson, just add in a few more lines on that part. But the darker it, you know, the darker the part, you don't need to do a hell of a lot with it because it's kind of done for you. Trying to zoom out on that's better. Okay, so that is a technique that I generally use on my picture. So as this book goes on, I mean this particular book, the images are, you know, she's done the hairlines almost for you. So if I move my camera back, if you just bear with me, I'm just going to move my camera about, and there we go. The tripod's playing up, it won't stand. I'm trying to get the tripod to stand. So in this book in particular, there is it's all people. Like she's giving you some of the images already done, so you get to see her versions of them in paintings. Oh, did you see Groot? Yeah, he's there. And then all of the portraits in this, you know, this one's not shaded, so you would still follow the same technique for this, but it's not shaded, so you would have to put more of a base down on that one. And then like on here, again, there is not a shading, so you kind of go with the hairline. So she's done the hairline sort of structure for you, and then you would follow that. So you would lay your base all the way down, and then you would go from the tip and follow it up. I don't want to do it on here though, because I'm not sure what I'm doing with them yet. You know, so not all of them in this book are shaded. But this one's quite heavily shaded. So this one would be a lot easier. But if you go over those lines hard enough, it will erase those lines and put your colour down instead of Same with this one. And then obviously this is the one that I'm working on. And then any picture you do, remember to put a couple of pieces of card behind it so that you don't, you know, push the ink from this side onto your image. The book is amazing. I'm just giving you a quick flip through. So it's absolutely stunning. They're so lifelike as well, aren't they? Some of them are like double page and it's so easy to press down. Some of them are double page spreads. And then some of them are single-sided, but then you've got florals on that side. I mean, I love these types as well. I love that behind her. And this is two of my favourite pages in the book. I love these. It is amazing, it is. I know it's quite pricey for the shipping for some people, and I understand that, you know, it is quite a lot to ask, but it's so worth the book. The book is worth it. I know, Tatty, I love that one. So it's one of my favourites in the book, I think. The whole book is amazing, let's face it, but that one with the glasses is so cute. And it's so good to see one with glasses as well, isn't it? So, I love this as well. I mean, look at this one. It's like a sort of comic sketch of her in the snow. I love that. Yeah, to make them look glassy, they definitely will be a challenge. But you'll just tint them, I think, and then have a little bit of a glaze in the corners. That's so cute as well. They're all so beautiful. And I love that. That is amazing. And then you go into, it's landscape ones. And this is just from, you know, the images that we've just seen. There's a lot. It's thick. It's a thick book. And that's it. That's that book. So yeah, I hope that helped. I know I haven't done a whole image, but that wasn't the intention. It was just to show you what I've done so far on it. And it is also to show you the technique that I'm using. So the next time that I do a picture, I'll do like a Jasmine Beckett one and I'll use the same technique. I don't know when that is or when that will be, just because my back. So yeah, we'll use the same technique, but we'll use different colours and maybe Prismacolors, not luminance. So I was just using the luminance because that's what I decided to use in this one. So I hope that helped, and I hope the explanation was okay. So just to recap on the colours that I used. I used Prismacolor in chocolate, and then I used luminance in brown ochre, 50%, brown ochre, burnt sienna, crimson aubergine and black, and that's to make like a reddish brown. So yeah, we'll give that a go, and as I say, just go, if you go and do it, just try it on a pre-shaded one, just that's got a little bit of shading, but enough for you to have a little go in like the areas like this part or this part where there's not too much shading, so you can really practice on it. Oh, Melissa, we're just leaving, we're just going, but it's on here to catch up. So Oh, thank you. Yes, he is great. Thanks for asking. He's back to his normal self, Rio. He must have had like a virus, but he's good. So yeah, take care everyone. Thanks for joining me so late.